Namaskar. New tack being tried by some NGOs to try and keep these illegals somewhere else at a place where they have better chance of getting their expenses covered, and then wait for a time to bring them back into the United States in 4 years' time. Is that what is the game plan? A lot of stuff happening quietly in the shadows of the big city of New York, and this could form a template unless it is checked by the government for people to just quietly disappear somewhere, and then they'll make a reappearance in 4 years' time. All this and more in this particular deck. Please like this video, and I'm just about to present you a slide deck showing you what is happening right now. There is an immigration crackdown imminent once Trump takes office, because the person he has appointed as border czar means business. He is not mincing any words. You've probably seen it. I have some videos of his, very, very strong, and he's not going to back down. So there is a huge problem right there. So they know that somehow they need to, because these are their vote banks, captive vote banks, that they want to see some way they can still hang on to these people so that at the right time they can bring them back into the United States. So how are they planning on doing this? Go to the next slide, please. Buses stop at New York City shelters because there are shelters for these illegals, and they pick them up at particular times, and they make this multiple stop. One bus will take about 80 to 100 people. There are 200,000, at least 200,000 illegal immigrants in the New York City alone. So you can do the math as to how many buses will have to do it. So if one starts tracing this thing down, and I'm hoping somebody in somebody's office in Washington, D.C., Congressional, Senate, White House, what have you, understands what is going on. We have a bunch of reference links. Don't take our word for it. Look at the reference links to understand what is going on. Because there are anecdotal evidence being provided by multiple bloggers now. They've gone to multiple sites. They've got video evidence. It's all available on X. And hey, Elon Musk is part of the new incoming administration. Let's see what they can do to cut this thing. It's really, really sad. So what is happening is this is a preemptive measure to try and get ahead of the game. Before they catch you, you leave town. Why? Because you are confident that the way you are going to leave town is the way you're going to come back in. So what needs to be done? They have to be paid for food, because going to the Canadian border is a 400-500 mile drive. That's a lot of time. One day probably, and 3-4 stops. Somebody has to take care of your expenses in these 3-4 stops. Then how do you smuggle them into Canada? Or is there somebody in Canada? Is there somebody in Canada who is willing to just give me 1 second, I got something wrong here. Is there somebody in Canada who's willing to underwrite this expense, pay way for you to get the basic services, including lodging and boarding? Canada is, New York is cold, Canada is colder. So how are they going to do this? These are mostly tropical climate people. So what is really going on? What are the Canadian authorities doing? Where exactly are these people being taken before they blend into the woods in Canada? The migrant transport is likely not organized by the government. It doesn't look like, which means it must be non-governmental organization. It's either government or non-government. There is proof that this is happening. There is proof that this is happening. So it's either governmental or non-governmental. We are saying that it doesn't look like it is governmental. It could involve volunteers, crowd-funded efforts, and charity organizations facilitating the trips. Clearly, there are some people in United States, in Hindi we say Sakela. This is Mumbaiya Hindi. It means something has snapped inside the brain. And there are enough to try and somehow feel like I'm giving you the middle finger, government of US. I'm giving you the middle finger, government Donald Trump. This is what I'm going to do. Anyway, so it's either that or some smuggler coyotes who have been paid by, we don't know who, is doing this arrangement of transport. or immigration consultants. Somewhere the money is coming into what I would call as official looking organizations in a way that probably is difficult to trace. Again, this is all connecting the dots here. And this is also indicative that there could be an informal network in play here, which is doing all this stuff. The moment Eric Adams made the announcement that food stamps are being stopped in the New York City, and I think by extension the state, then all these things have started happening now. The migrant crisis has become significant. There was a hotel called Roosevelt Hotel. I think that was a 5-star hotel. There are some videos doing the rounds. We'll try and give you a link to that. We can't publish it, but we can let you watch that video to understand what is going on. There's a video and there's a story that goes with the video as to what was going on. These illegal migrants were there for, I think, a year or two. I mean, it was also probably a transit house to bring them in and then set them there for some time and then go. And what happened was the Biden administration itself stopped giving loans to New York City some time ago, and then that's when the things started getting tighter, and now completely stopped because Trump has told them not a dime. Therefore, people are in panic mode. I did tell you, right? CNN is going through a major layoff now. Did I tell you that Anderson Cooper gets paid $20 million a year for reading from a teleprompter? He is not even doing what I'm doing. I make mistakes because I'm not reading from a teleprompter, and I'm also not good at reading from a teleprompter. I've tried. It's not that I haven't tried. If your eyeball moves, then that is betrayal of the fact that, oops, this guy is reading from a teleprompter. Anyway, so in Canada, how are they getting protection? If they can somehow get into a legal immigration processing company, and I'm just going to give you an example of one such company. I'm not saying that this company does it, but I'm just going to say that this is example of one such company that does it. This informal crossing method, where they are trying to go through like woods in Canada. The last time something like this was done, it was in Second World War. I don't know if you've seen this movie. I think it's called The Darkest Hour or something like that. Churchill had just become the prime minister, and this was the war government where every party's member was minister here. And the opposition at that time, Churchill was a conservative, the opposition, Labour, wanted to stick it to Churchill, stick it to the conservative government, which was of Chamberlain, by choosing that we will join the war government, war cabinet only if you make Winston Churchill the prime minister. In fact, Winston Churchill was unpopular within his own party, leave alone the other party. They wanted to stick it to the conservatives. So they said, only way we will support you is if you make Winston Churchill the prime minister. And he became the prime minister. Then he looks around and sees what happens. Well, the Americans gave some money to us, but we need fighter planes to fight the Germans. And then what he does is he locks himself into the bathroom and then calls up Freddie Roosevelt, and he says, the money that you loaned us, we'd like to buy some of your planes in exchange for that. This is, I think, 1941 end or early 1942. The Americans had not yet entered the war. They were a neutral party at that point. Bear with me for this story, okay? Because this has relevance to what is happening today. So what happens is, Churchill asks Roosevelt that, for the money you gave us, can we, buy some of your planes? And that time, the United States had signed a pact of neutrality with Germany that they will not enter World War II. In a sense, US till 1942 was just standing and watching what was going on until Pearl Harbor happened. So this is before that, right? So what happens is, then Churchill is getting desperate. Look, we are getting decimated night after night. Luftwaffe bombings happening on London. We need something. We need your planes. So help me out. What Roosevelt says? What we can do? We can fly our planes very close to the border of Canada, and then you can use horses to pull these planes from US side to the Canadian side. At that point of time, Canada was part of England or United Kingdom. And once it's inside US, it's yours. I believe this was done. So these kinds of places where there is a border is quite porous between US and Canada is quite common. So looks like something like that is what is being planned here also. They are walking through fields and across small ditches. So it's a very fascinating thing if this is true, that they are actually being asked to go across. And these people are pretty desperate. The point here is, why is Canada taking on these illegals? After all, this is a strain on their system also. Huge strain, as a matter of fact. Migrants who successfully cross may receive accommodations and also get some catered meals, and it looks like it will cost them $4,000 a month, plus a child allowance of $600 per child. Additionally, healthcare coverage may include medical and dental expenses. Canadian authorities said they are on high alert, with all eyes on the US border as the country braces for a possible influx of migrants. This is already happening, and this is not happening at the official border. It is happening somewhere inside. It's a 5,000 kilometer or 3,000 miles, give or take a few hundred miles, border between US and Canada. And not all of it is bad terrain or something like that. Some of it is. So how this is going to play out? See, this is one example of an organization that provides these services called cahoots, COSTI. And I think you would have seen the expansion play out in the video just a few moments ago. So this is what is happening now. But will Canada be able to take the 8 to 12 million immigrants? I think not. I think it will stop as soon as they figure out what is happening, and a few knocks in the head with the people who are doing it. These NGOs will be stopped. This is illegal, plain illegal. And I don't know how this is going to play out. Actually, they should be going in the reverse direction to the Mexico border, to Texas, to the Mexico border, and then disgorge outside and say hasta la vista. That's what should happen. Whether it's going to happen or not, we'll have to wait and see. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. Namaskar.